So you're ready to produce your own comic. You have a good story, you have an idea. You're a little intimidated though. So, how can we help? Hey, this is Perch. I've given this advice before on videos, but I want to go specifically into detail around somebody. Maybe it's you. You're sitting at home and you've got an idea for a comic. You've got a script, or maybe you're an artist, or maybe you even started a little bit. Maybe you're doing it all yourself. There's a lot of different outcomes here, and you want to produce a comic, but you kind of dip your toe into the publishing and taking it to somewhere and shipping it out. And should you start a crowdfunding site, or should you go approach a publisher, or what? That can be very intimidating. That can be just it basically, a lot of people, it dies right there. They start digging into the logistics of what it takes to actually produce that comic, whether it's theirs or someone else's. The information is kind of convoluted and not great, and they just stop. It's the murder of creativity. So, what do you do? And the advice I've given is just do it anyway. Just start. And that sounds like good advice, but if you've been overwhelmed by all these logistics, you still you're plagued. There's a little voice in the back of your head saying, "Yeah, but what's the point? What's the point of starting if it can't go anywhere? And once I get started, I've got to do this and this and this and this," and you get right back into that pit, that cycle. And the answer, the obvious answer, the clear answer is yes. You've got to just start. And let me explain why just starting will help you with the logistics, help you with all that nonsense down the road. Because if you feel some comfort that you are actually tackling those problems, it will make it easier to get started. So first off, whether you're going to go crowdfunding, whether you're going to approach a publisher, show your work, whatever it happens to be, you have to have something to show them. I have never seen, unless you are a celebrity or somebody who's coming in with their name, you can't just approach somebody and tell them a pitch like, "Hey, what if Spider-Man had a third leg? How about that? Wouldn't that be a cool story? Hire me." That doesn't happen. People, you will not get hired that way. And if you're an artist and you just have kind of a highlight reel of some sketches you made, you're not going to get hired that way either. Now, again, there are exceptions, but not really. You need to actually have something to show them, and the something to show them can only be created by starting. You've got to start putting your comic in place. And put it this way: what if your comic, your idea right now is not a very good one? It might not be. You might love it, and that's cool, but you may discover in a year or 2 years that, hey, you were wrong. Your idea is not very good. People change their ideas all the time. You think you have an amazing concept in mind, and then some time goes by and you're like, "Ooh, what it was, I must have been super high when I had that idea." Well, the thing that you're still getting value out of is that you're creating something. You're putting panels on a page. You're putting a script together. You have something you can hold in your hand that's physical proof of your idea and your seriousness to actually produce something. And that is valuable, incredibly valuable. So start. Starting gives you that material. The other thing you're going to do is you're going to, through the process of putting it on page, is you're going to meet people as you show people your work. Again, it's kind of like, you can't talk a pitch to people. Well, you can, but you're not going to make much traction. But even if it's people who are not in the business, friends, auxiliary components, people online, people on Twitter, and you start showing them pages and you start showing them actual things you produced, you will be surprised at the amount of help you will get. There will be people who will volunteer to do certain things for you. Write marketing text, help, maybe fund, but there's a lot of different ways people can help you get through that logistical mess if they see that you actually have something. So again, just start. The other thing is, like I mentioned before, you may not have the best idea, and sometimes the only way to tell that is to actually see it on paper yourself. Once you write up that script, have you ever heard of the concept of a second draft or a third draft? Well, the only way you get to a second draft is if you have a first draft. You have to begin. And once you begin, that allows you the ability to refine your ideas, cut out the parts that maybe don't work, Lots of possibilities. So again, just start. If you're going to go the crowdfunding route, guess what? You're going to need to be able to show people something. You're going to need to be able to put pages up. You can't, with very rare exceptions again, just say, hey, I've got a comic coming out. I have absolutely no visual proof of any parts of this comic, no script, no art, nothing, but please give me money. That's not going to work. It's not going to work. So start producing your comic. And I'll tell you, a lot of people who are successful in the business, either on their own or through a publisher, either way, they have 2, 4, 10 comics under their belt, comics they produced that never went anywhere. They're little treasures that sit on the shelf or on their computer. And they're examples of work that was done. You can call it practice work, you can call it early stage work, you can call it the magical unearthed comics that after they die will be brought up to say, some of the early work super valuable, reprinted, and your ancestors will get money that you never saw. That's a happy thought. Um, there's there's a lot that can happen, but you have to begin. And even if you begin and what you produce is absolute crap, and it's crap, and it can never go out into the world, then pick up the pen, start your second issue, start your second novel, start your second story, whatever it happens to be. Just get work under your belt. You will be stronger, better, more adept to go take on the industry if you have practice, if you have a lot of pieces that you've done. And I'll also tell you, every single conversation I've ever seen with an editor or a potential publisher, and I've had many, if you come to them and say, yeah, here's 6 books that I produced, never published them, but, wanted to get the system down, so I was good at what I do. That is more, certainly more powerful than a resume. It shows you have commitment and you're not a flake. And every time somebody's come in with some material built up, it's gone somewhere. Not always a job, but it's gone somewhere. It's at least provided an introduction to another part of the puzzle or somewhere. If you have comics under your belt and you've done something, you will get somewhere. It may take a while. Things don't happen overnight, but you've got to start the clock ticking. And what I mean by that is the faster you get going, the faster you're going to get somewhere. And if you pause, if you delay, if you wait, you're going to be waiting a long time. Some things only really happen once you've begun. So begin now. So are you a independent person? You're somebody on Facebook, on Twitter. You've always had an idea for a comic, but always been uncertain of how to break into the industry. Seems a little intimidating. Well, produce what you got. It may be absolute garbage. You may be very nervous to show it to anybody. You may be very kind of ashamed of your early work. Doesn't matter. You start, you prompt something out, you start again. It's the right thing to do, and it's how you break into this industry. Anyway, do you have any other comments, suggestions, tips for people trying to get in and get going? Leave in the comments below. Would love to hear from you. Are you one of those people who's got an idea but have felt overwhelmed by the mountain of nonsense that you have to wade through to even get that book out the door? Reach out. Let me know. Like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, tell a friend, and thanks for listening. Glad you're here.